This is More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Hi, everyone, and welcome into another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. It is the podcast with interesting conversations with interesting people, and we are so grateful that you have been following us for probably about 2 years now, and today we have one of my favorite guests on. You will absolutely love it, Mr. Joe Buck. And today's episode of More to Say is brought to you by our exclusive presenting sponsor, Riize Energy Strips. Energy strips. Yeah, you carry around your bottles of energy drink, you take your pills, you take your supplements. Riize Energy Strips is a brand new concept in supplemental delivery. It goes under your tongue. It's a strip. Dr. Joe Molesky is one of the partners and the attending physician for this and the chief medical officer for Riize Energy Strips. You'll be hearing all about it throughout this episode with Mr. Joe Buck from Monday Night Football and, of course, St. Louis Cardinals lore. So without further ado, enjoy our episode of More to Say with Joe Buck.
It is a cool night in this stadium, getting ready for a little NFL action. Welcome to the Progressive Monday Night Kickoff. And now welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck.
We are talking with Joe Buck, and obviously everybody knows who Joe Buck is. Multi-Emmy Award winner, 3-time National Sportscaster of the Year, Sportscast Broadcast Hall of Famer in 22. He's called 6 Super Bowls, 24 World Series, and of course he's your play-by-play guy for ESPN Monday Night Football, entering his 4th season in the booth with Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. Welcome to the More to Say podcast, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I mean, you and I go way back, so it's good to see you, and happy to be on.
I see you have your Savannah Banana shirt on. You went and saw them the other day at Busch Stadium. Did you enjoy it? I call them the boy band of baseball. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you try out for a baseball team and they go, okay, can you field this ground ball or pitch, and can you dance? It's a little bit different than
it's goofy.
It's different. But I've got 7-year-old boys. They loved every second of it. It is an assault on the senses, to be sure. It's just constant music, constant entertainment, constant action, and I guess to some degree a little bit of what baseball needs more of.
Yeah, a little bit like the Harlem Globetrotters back in the day, which of course I grew up with, which was so fun. And I do want to touch base on the first time that I became aware of Joe Buck, okay? This was in the late 80s. I believe it was 1989. My husband, who is a former major league pitcher, there's his picture right there. He was pitching AAA Louisville in the Cardinals AAA organization and for the Louisville Redbirds. And you were announcing, I think you were, 22 years old maybe? You were a youngster.
And now I was 20. I just turned 20.
And now I had come from the world of radio in Buffalo, and I'm like, who is that young man on the radio? He sounds really good. And they go, oh, that's Jack Buck's son. And me, growing up watching the Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays, being in Western New York, I said, and don't kill me, who's Jack Buck?
Yeah, of course.
What? No, that's Jack Buck. I go, well, if that young man keeps at it, he could have a really good career. So I was foreshadowing your whole existence, Joe.
Yeah, well, I believe me, I didn't feel that way. I was just struggling every day. I was also the traveling secretary on that team, so
I didn't know that. Wow. And wasn't Ted Simmons the GM at the time?
Yeah, maybe the minor league player development guy.
Yeah, maybe.
So it was up to me to hand Brian his meal money at the beginning of trips. It was me handing out the plane tickets because we flew commercial if we weren't, driving somewhere.
Right.
And it was a lot for somebody that started that season at 19 and it was 20 for the majority of it. It's just kind of crazy, now that I've got 29 and 26-year-old girls, thinking back to how I was as a 20-year-old, kind of handling all that, learning how to broadcast, working with a great guy named Jim Kelch, but having a ball. I mean, I kind of miss the purity of that time, at least in my career.
Yeah, well, now obviously you are at ESPN and you're on Monday Night Football, an iconic franchise, of course. But I do want to kind of backtrack. You talked about how you have grown girls in your family, but also you and your wife, Michelle Beisner Buck, of course, who you met on the NFL beat. You have your 7-year-old boys, Blake and Wyatt. And I see things on social media, not only with your account, but with your sister, Julie, and Michelle's account as well. Those boys not only adorable, with the little signature buck chin dimple, they are whirling dervishes and they
Yeah.
are all boys. So how do you compare raising girls to raising boys, especially at your age now?
Yeah, no, there's so many factors. Girls, in my opinion, are way easier. Now, I was
Really?
younger. I was in my late 20s, early 30s when Natalie and Trudy were born, which means I probably had more patience. I had more energy. I had, whatever. But I just think these boys, they are great. They're twins. They are so different from one another. One is all athlete, big, strong. The other one's getting bigger and stronger, but he's like kind of a dance freak
Oh,
uh,
cool.
in the best possible way. And he's, going to like performing arts camps and they want him to be around more. They think he's got real potential. So he took after mom. I hopefully Blake, my big one, took after me. And it's been a great hectic, tiring 7 years that they've been on the earth, and I cannot imagine not having them. It's been a blessing to everybody in the family.
So, do you, because you literally virtually grew up in a ballpark as a kid. Julie tells me about how you guys were raised on hot dogs and running around the ballpark as a kid. So, do you find that you are now kind of living vicariously a bit through Wyatt and Blake?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that leads to, me being probably harder on them than I need to be. Just knowing kind of where I made my missteps. Knowing not that they're going to make major
Wait, did you
missteps at
get in
7.
trouble as a kid? What did you
I
do?
didn't get into a lot of trouble. I really didn't. But I think with eating, trying to be healthier, trying to make sure they're healthy, trying to make sure they get their reading done, they do their homework. It's the number one source of my wife and I kind of disagreeing on how to raise them because she's more kind of, oh, let them explore, let them, do whatever. And I'm more kind of the taskmaster, like you are going to do this, this, and this. You're not listening. We got to. So it's kind of a meeting of two different styles that I'm sure that's no different than most
Right.
parents around the country. But yeah, it's been a test, but it's been great.
That's awesome. Well, they are adorable. And if you want to follow on social media, they're literally bouncing off the walls or cracking me up every time I see them. So, I'm having fun watching them. And now let's talk about your summer. You recently, just a week ago or so, co-hosted on Good Morning America with Robin Roberts and Michael Strahan. First of
Yeah.
all, obviously, it's a shift I did for 23 years at KTVI in St. Louis with John Pertzborn, getting up in the middle of the night. What time did they get you out of bed for that?
Yeah, I mean, I probably got up at 4:30,
Oh,
which I was right across the street from the studio, my
right.
hotel in New York, and it was 3 days, and it's a pretty well scripted show. They
Yeah.
were really helpful to me and kind of giving me. I had a producer to myself, and she was amazing, just kind of walking me through the mechanics of throwing to each other, even though you're 1 inch away, and to come out of a
Right.
piece and be like, okay, thanks for that, Michelle. Let's go to Robin. And, there are steps in there that seemed kind of illogical to me instead of Robin just coming out of the piece and going into her, whatever she was setting up. But they could not have been nicer. I had a blast. I'm so glad I did it. I don't know how you do it that long.
You see
I
these
did it when I
bags?
was
I earned them, Joe.
I
I earned
mean,
them.
I did morning radio when I was 18 in St. Louis, 17 or 18. And I just remember having to get up at 5 o'clock or whatever it was in the morning. And then you'd come back after work and you'd take a nap. And then you'd wake up at 6 and you'd be freaking out, flying around the room, going, oh my God, I'm late. I can't. And then it's 6 p.m. and not 6 a.m. Like it completely
Oh my God.
flipped everything. And so for you, I take my hat off, because to be on and ready in the morning, to be cheerful and bright and, focused, is really different than the kind of broadcasting I've done my entire life.
Yeah, and it definitely takes a toll, but I will say that, my daughter's 32 now. It was the best shift for a working mom because I went to every practice, I went to every
Yeah.
parent-teacher thingy, I went to everything. But getting back to your appearance on GMA, it is live and you had a live moment. You had a burrito blowout. What happened?
Yes. It was overstuffed, Randy. It was overstuffed. I was like, wow, I really am doing morning TV as I'm doing a cooking segment with a celebrity chef, and he was great. But I was trying to pack a burrito. He was showing me the proper way to fold it, and it blew out. Now, I will say that A, we put too much stuff in it, and B, the tortilla was a little old and kind of dried out.
Dry.
So I will take the blame, but I could have been I could have been helped out with a fresher tortilla.
It was entertaining nonetheless. As I mentioned, I did that morning shift with John Pertzborn on KTVI for 23 years. I'm retired about 3 years now, and I like last night. Literally still wake up in the middle of the night. Got up at 2 a.m. Woke up at 2 a.m. It's like, no, go back to bed. Your
Yeah.
circadian rhythm doesn't forget. So, when all this business with sports is said and done, is that type of thing something you might consider doing?
I would never rule anything out. I don't know that. Yeah, it's a completely different discipline. I think I like to talk a little bit more than kind of being that locked
Yeah.
into turn to this camera, read this copy,
Right, where
lead
you're
the.
you're an ad lib guy. That's what you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, that's kind of the way I prefer to be on air. But I did enjoy it, and I could see making a nice living and being in New
Yeah.
York or LA or whatever it would be. But no, I think once I'm done with sports, or sports is done with me, I think the last thing I'll do is try to find a microphone somewhere.
All right, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of football. You're starting, is it your fourth season in the Monday Night Football booth with Troy now?
That is so hard for me to believe, but
It's the
yes.
fourth season, yeah. So, I did want to ask you out of the gate. There was a headline that came up, I think, in the last week or so, that ESPN is looking at acquiring the NFL Network and the NFL Red Zone. Which, I mean, I don't understand all these streaming platforms, and you can get this and that, and this game. This game's blacked out. You can't get that game. What can you tell us about that? Do they let you know anything about
No.
acquisitions like that, or does your job just stay the same?
Yeah, I've got a boss named Jimmy Pitaro. Believe me, he's not calling me, telling me about deals. I think maybe at Fox I had earned that after 28 years, that they might have said, "Hey, here's what we're doing. Here's how this affects you." I think is kind of what you really want to know. But it's not. I don't know anything more than you do. I
Yeah.
know what I've read. And I think it'd be amazing for ESPN to have it. I think if for no other reason than for the red zone, which is, I mean, both my daughters watch the red zone. Both my daughters play fantasy football. It's a necessary tool for it. And it's fun for me. I mean, we sit around on Sundays before our Monday games and we just watch pretty much the red zone and go from highlight to highlight, scoring chance
Yeah.
after scoring chance. So if we or ESPN were able to acquire that, I think I don't know how you lose with that with the popularity of the NFL, but trust me,
Right.
they're not asking me anything.
But of course, NFL fans will always have something to squawk about. I want to ask you, as far as programming goes, and I know that you've done all your preseason meetings and such, are fans going to see anything different this year as far as presentation? Do not change the opening song with Chris Stapleton and Snoop Dogg, In the Air Tonight. I'm telling you, when I hear that song, it's like my husband and I are like, I would run through a wall when that song plays. It is the best NFL song out there.
I think it's fun because they usually play it in stadium
Oh,
before we
really?
hit the air. And when Phil Collins does the drum fill of dun dun dun
Oh,
dun dun dun, you just look around the stadium and everybody's doing air drums.
everybody's doing air
And yeah,
drums.
so that Steve Ackles, who's our producer, whose idea that was, hit it right with that song. So
Oh.
I love it too, and it gets me fired up, and then it leads
Good.
into dun 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 dun,
Love
which
it.
then I get to follow that.
I'm so
I don't
excited.
I don't think there's going to be any. The big change was last year with the different kickoff rules.
Yeah,
Whereas like, what are we looking at?
I hate that.
Yeah, it's an odd look. I get it. I know why, because they're trying to cut down on the high impact collisions. They're trying to keep a kickoff in the game, kickoff return in the game, instead of just putting the ball down at the 30 and blowing a whistle and now you're playing football. I think there's
Yeah,
a symbolic start to a game, which is, oh, what time's kickoff? Well, kickoff is at 12:15 or whatever it
it's
is.
after the touchback.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when it is.
That's pretty much where they've gone. And I think I like having a good kick return involved in the action. And they've moved that now 5 yards more, so you get penalized as opposed to kickers just blasting it out of the end of the end zone. So I think the coverage is going to be about the same. I think the game's going to look the same as it did last year, but last year took a little while to get used to.
Yeah, and of course, this year, Jason Kelsey, who is also on Monday Night Football as a special correspondent, he's no longer a rookie in the broadcast realm anymore. Anything new coming up for him that you know of? Like over the summer, Jason appeared in public in a Speedo. Anything we can, and
Yeah,
I know he was with no shirt in Buffalo. He was wearing the Buffalo, the water buffalo hat. He was going crazy everywhere he went.
he's unique and a wonderful guy and
Yeah,
somebody that I think gets it. He's kind of game for whatever they throw at him. I mean, I'm sure he's got his limits, but he hosted a late night show last year, which I got
right.
to go on. I think he's a really talented person. He's a Hall of Fame player and is an entertainer and somebody who just wants to be. I was just at that Tahoe golf event, the American Century Championship, and he's on the stage with his brother Travis, and they're singing a duet, and they're born to entertain, both of them. And then Travis is in Happy Gilmore too.
Oh my gosh, I just saw it the other day. Did you see it?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
so goofy. I loved it.
Yeah, goofy's a good word.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know that there's going to be anything where like, hey, this year he's going to be hanging off the Liberty Bell at the top of some
You can
building
see
and
it.
or what. I just think he's one of those guys that just kind of is game for whatever and is good TV. I'm so glad we hired him. I recruited him when he was deciding between Fox, NBC, CBS, and ESPN, and I'm thankful he came to us.
Oh, me too. He is entertaining. All right, we're going to talk more football right now, especially you and what you do. What do you do to get ready for a season? I know you go to a different city every week and you talk about what you do and watch the Red Zone on Sundays to see what's going on around the league. But game by game, do you do a deep dive in the off season on rosters, acquisitions, trades,
Yeah,
division, things like that? Or do you kind of take it by game, or is it
both.
combined? Yeah,
Yeah, I do both because I feel like there's so much movement in the NFL. The offseason is still vitally important. I don't go, okay, that was my last game and now I'm just going to shut down. Like you have to stay up on it every day so that you're not playing catch up once the season starts.
yeah.
And I think,
There's
for
a
me,
lot.
it's a lot of movement, it's a lot of information, it's a lot of trying to remember, from head coach on down, like who's where this year, how is it different? And so you have to stay up, I think, every day. Otherwise, I just kind of get a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But each game is its own chapter of my year. So if I leave a Monday night game, I've got all the articles written that have been written about the two teams I'm going to do the next Monday night waiting for me. So I'll get on the plane and just start plowing through that and start looking at specifics of the game they just played, how they won or how they lost, why, who got hurt, what the major topics are. And it's just a lot of reading. It's a lot of reading and then putting down. There's like this great open book test every Monday night for me where I have put name, number, height, weight, college, years in the NFL, all the stats, everything in a box for each guy. And I've got, offense on the bottom, defense coming down, flip it over. It's the reverse for the other two sides of the ball for each team. and it's just like this massive, overwhelming document of information that I've done myself. Some people kind of farm that out, but I need to do it myself to know where that
Yeah.
stuff is, so that when the pressure's on, I can find it. And I think people just kind of assume that we just stroll into the booth on Monday and just do it.
No.
And it's just the sports fan Randy is so much more knowledgeable now than even when I started, because of the internet, because of fantasy football, everything involved. You got to stay ahead of. You got to bring new stuff instead of the stuff they've read all week.
Awesome. And I understand before, like at the beginning of the summer, you guys were doing the network up fronts, you and Troy for ESPN and Monday Night Football. You went on Good Morning America and made your Super Bowl prediction. Who
I
by
did.
chance would that be, Joe?
It would be the Buffalo Bills,
Yes.
and I am just so hopeful. Josh Allen is one of the few guys that I've gotten to know in the league personally. Been around him, played golf with him. That's not a name drop. That's a reason for me going, I want this guy to win it all, because I think he is the
Oh,
perfect front man for that city. I think he's bought in as a California kid into life in Buffalo. He signed a massive contract, but certainly could have held out and looked for every last dime, either from them or somebody else. I just think he's a wonderful young guy, and I would like to see them get over the hump. And it'd be great for you as a Bills fan. It'd be great
yeah.
for the city. It's their last year in that stadium, and I don't know. You kind of lose that fan side of you when you get into doing what I do. But as far as the personalities involved, I'd love to see him get over the hump.
Usually I rattle off a whole number of our sponsors, but today we are sponsored by one and only Riize energy strips. And you're like, Riize? I've seen those. I've heard of those. Riize. I've seen them on TikTok. I've seen them all over Instagram. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And today we are going to be talking to one of the partners and the chief medical officer with Riize health strips, with the energy strips. And this is Dr. Joe Molesky. And you're like, I know that guy. He's the one from STL Medical Weight Loss. But Dr. Molesky has now partnered with the folks at Riize Energy Strips, and he's going to tell us all about it. Thanks for joining me today on the More to Say podcast.
Yes, thanks for having me, Randy. It's always a pleasure to be on the podcast. I know we talked about, having patients lose weight, getting down on the scale and whatnot, but what we're talking about today is Riize strips. So really what Riize is, or riseup.com, we are a supplement company, but we're different because we provide a different method of delivery, and that method of delivery is a strip. So I'm sure you guys heard of like the Listerine strip or the
Yeah.
breast strips. That's what we have. We literally have the strips that we put other vitamins and nutrients inside there, like B12, energy, and it's all clean energy. So when I say clean, you have a energy drink or a coffee or even energy pill, and all those have a laundry list of chemicals you can't pronounce and
Right.
really massive high amounts of caffeine, and you get a crash and get the jitters. That's not what Energy is about. It's a strip. It slips under your tongue. It dissolves in seconds, and it's all natural ingredients. And the beautiful thing is you get the energy, you get electrolytes all in a strip, and you don't have anything that you don't need, just everything your body needs.
So for anybody who's listening to you and you're saying Riize Energy, it's not Rise, it's Riize, Riize Energy.
We make it reasonably priced compared to some of the pill versions, or just
Right.
figure out how much a Starbucks coffee or an energy drink costs. I mean, those are $5, $6 a piece. So we make it reasonable. We make it convenient. We make it for you.
I mean,
Yeah.
you talk about something that's so conveniently priced. I mean, to me, I see people trying this left and right. So it's really
Oh, yeah.
cool. And it is
Yes.
Riize, riseup.com, if you want to get in on this latest craze in supplement delivery system. It's under the tongue. It dissolves in moments, works in minutes. So you want to maybe check that out to see which one might work for you for whatever you'd like to help or correct. Dr. Joe Molesky, I thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Rise up.
Well, you talk about getting away from the fan. I worked in sports broadcasting for a little less than 10 years, and you do. You have to dial it back as a fan, but I've always followed the Buffalo Bills. In fact, this year I did a thing. I purchased season tickets with my sister. So I'm going to be flying back
Oh
and
my
forth
God.
to Buffalo all season long, sometimes twice in 1 week. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that, going to check out the Bills for their last season at Highmark Stadium. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if my sister and I can wander up to the booth on the Monday night game with you at
You know
all.
what? We do not. So there's one Monday night game there, or a Bills game on Monday night, and it's a night where we have two games, and I'm not doing it. So I just did an event with Josh, and I said, "Can you believe I am not going to see you all year?"
Oh my
And I
gosh.
cannot believe that they are not a feature game on Monday Night Football. That breaks my heart.
That's goofy.
It is goofy, and I think it's a miss. I think it's a miss that
A
we don't
marquee
get
team
to.
like that with the
Well, yeah.
MVP. Come
I mean,
on.
they're going to have plenty of primetime games. It's just I think one thing that we can do really well being at ESPN is spending an entire day talking about a game. And in that case, it would be spending an entire game talking about not only a game, but an organization and the end of a stadium that's seen so many highs and lows. It's just a shame that we're not going to
Yeah.
be there, but
Well,
that's
I'll
the
be
way it
there
is.
cheering them on, and I'm joining something called the Water Buffalo Club where they wear those goofy Fred Flintstone water buffalo hats. I won't be doing that. I've
Are you
got
going to do
plenty.
the jump into the table
I
thing off
don't
the?
believe I'm going to do the jump into the table, and I don't believe I'm going to get covered in mustard or ketchup. I'll
Yeah.
leave that to Jason Kelsey. He did that last year. I want to ask if not the Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl, and it's hard being a Bills fan in the middle of Chiefs country here in St. Louis. If not the Bills hoisting the Lombardi trophy, who would it be?
Um, I mean, I think again, Philly is the head and shoulders leading type team in the NFC. I really do. I think the AFC is where you get a little bit more muddied. I mean, you've got another year of the Chiefs, you got another year of Andy Reid, another year of Patrick Mahomes. They're fantastic.
Yeah,
There's no way if you know Patrick that you can't also root for him because he's a good guy. And their sustained success is unmatched right now in the game. But that's not it. I mean, you can look at other spots in the AFC. That entire division is better. I don't sleep on the Chargers in a weird way. I think another year of Jim Harbaugh, another year of Justin Herbert. I liked what they did in the offseason. And let's face it, everybody in the AFC West is playing catch up to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the
yeah.
way you've got to look at it. But that said, uh, I don't know. I'm trying to rack my brain. I
I
mean,
mean,
Miami looked
the
like they were
Lions are great. Cincy, I think, might come out of the shadows finally.
if their
Um,
defense is better, yeah.
yeah,
If that's the one. I mean, Herbert, or rather, Joe Burrow is as good as they come. He's kind of like a throwback to the old quarterbacks. That's just a gunslinger and a guy that has all the confidence in the world and just kind of has that swag. I love him, but I don't know about their defense, and
yeah.
and so that's a problem. You're right about Detroit, and they're a lovable team, and Dan Campbell's done such a great job, and Jared Goff, who's another terrific young man. Just he and his wife, they just had their first baby. He's a guy that got traded away from LA after taking them to the Super Bowl. So he's an easy guy to root for. I think you're right. I think it's Philly, Detroit, Washington should be good again, and maybe Chicago. I don't know. I mean, does Minnesota take a step back with Sam Darnold now in Seattle, and they're going with, in essence, a rookie quarterback and J.J. McCarthy? I think the fun thing about the NFL, Randy, is that we just don't know who's going to be the team that's going to come up and surprise everybody. Is it Atlanta with Michael Penix Jr.?
Right.
Is it? You don't know, and that's the fun of it. Major League Baseball is in a time now where it's like, okay, the Dodgers are always going to be in it, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Mets, the Phillies. kind of these upper tier teams that are able to just throw money at every problem. And there's 5, 6 teams at the most that you go, okay, they should win the World Series. And that's it. The NFL is more wide open. And I think that's a good thing.
And that's the funny thing where you mentioned about all the moves and all, you named a bunch of players and teams. I'm like, oh yeah, they moved there. And my thing is with all of the yapping, the preseason yapping going on and the 7 hours up until kickoff and everyone's blah, blah. My philosophy, snap the damn ball and let's see what happens. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's just play the game.
absolutely. And then we make a big deal about our schedule. And there have been years where the schedule comes out in May and we're like, oh my God, we got the greatest schedule. And you're one injury away or one team just falling on its face away from going, oh my God, we got to do that game. When in the beginning of the season, when the schedule came out, you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to do that game. It's just everything is so fluid in the NFL. And I'm with you. I mean, just put it on the tee, kick it off, and let's go.
Snap the ball. Okay, I'm gonna do just a list of some rapid fire questions, and just let's go. What do you like calling better, football or baseball, and why?
Game 7 of a World Series is the most fun, just because it's been an entire month after 6 months of a baseball season, and a Game 7 comes down to 1 or 2 moments where a team wins or loses a world championship. There's just nothing like it.
Is there another sport that you would like to call and be just as good at that you haven't done?
No, I've done basketball, college basketball. I've done golf. I have no desire to do anything else other than right now the NFL.
Cool, love it. For a while, your Twitter profile or X, whatever they call it, it said, it's true, I hate your team. Basically, like, yeah, Joe Buck's a homer.
I said, I don't hate any team except yours.
Exactly. That was it. So, but you changed it for this year. I checked it out before we started yapping. So because every game you broadcast, you get hammered online. So how do you handle the trolls?
You just don't care about it. I mean, unless one of the trolls is the guy signing my check.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. And you can't win that game. You cannot win that game.
No, you can't. Okay. Do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions going into the booth? Like, do you wear lucky socks or do the kids give you artwork or something like that?
Actually, it's those two things combined. I have like 3 pairs of socks that are on a rotation that have my boys' pictures, their heads on them.
I had no idea. How about that? Better to be lucky than good.
Yes.
Okay. Here's what bit of advice did your dad, the legendary Jack Buck, ever give you that you take into the booth every game, no matter what sport you're calling?
2 things. Don't criticize officials or umpires. I mean, you can do it to a degree, but then stop because they're not trying to make mistakes. And kind of the same with the players. Unless you feel like you could make that play 10 times out of 10, realize how hard it is and broadcast accordingly.
There you go. Okay. Do people text you while you're in the booth during the game?
Oh, yeah.
Does your phone blow up?
Yes.
Oh, I got to hear. What's some of the most random ones? You don't have to name names.
Well, I will name a name in that during the World Series one year, Eddie Vedder texted me that he and Bruce Springsteen were watching and they wanted me to say a certain word for them, which I did.
What was the word?
I have it was realistic. It was not.
That's hilarious.
Like I would do that with other friends and they're like, say octopus. And it's like, no.
And you worked it into the broadcast.
Yeah. When I was doing local, like Cardinal stuff, if I couldn't get it in like to some sentence at the end of the inning, I'd be like, and so after the end of 4 innings, Cardinals lead the Pirates 5-2 octopus. And then they'd owe me $20.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, that led me to my next question. What was the most unexpected DM you've received? So it was probably that one, or is there something else?
No, I'm not a big DM guy.
Okay. Well,
I wish I had somebody, but I don't.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever heard in your earpiece during a game? Did someone belch or swear or fall down or
swearing is
that's normal.
Constant. So the fact that it doesn't go through my head and out of my mouth is a miracle. So when it does, then I will be able to call it a career.
What is the favorite call you've ever made in any game in any sport?
Probably my dad's. We'll see you tomorrow night when I redid it for the 2011 Game 6 David Freese home run to center field.
bumps of goose every time I see
Yeah,
that video. It's crazy, man. What is the broadcast moment that you would like to go back and redo if you could?
probably
And that's
Randy Moss and me saying that's disgusting with him mooning the crowd, then rubbing his butt on the goalpost was probably over the top on my end, so to speak. But he got fined. I get stuff on Twitter, and he and I become friends, so
oh,
nobody
good.
really cares anymore.
Okay. All right. I mentioned John Pertzborn and myself. We worked for 23 years on the air together on the morning show at KTVI. You know, he calls me his work wife. I call him my work husband. Believe me, it was not without dust ups and arguments and animosity, but we know when the light goes on, we're just the best of morning buds. Do you and Troy Aikman super get along, or have you ever had any like tense moments where you had to kind of dial it in and go back on the air? Because if you're working together, you'll have disagreements.
Yeah, and it's a high pressure situation, and the answer, honest to God, on my kids, thankfully, no. I think but you really have to work at that relationship. You cannot take things for granted, and you almost have to work at it like a marriage. You say work wife
Yeah.
or work
Yeah.
husband. If you don't put an effort into it, it's not going to work. And so it's funny. You guys were together 23 years. This will be my 24th with Troy. So it's been a long run. It's been a fun run. We're basically the same age. We're both girl dads. Both had two daughters that are about the same age. It's pretty crazy that here we are in 2025 and we're still going forward.
That's adorable. Okay, what's your go-to booth snack? What must be there?
We're both big almond guys. We like kind of
Healthy.
the blue diamond, I think, is
Yeah, yeah,
the
the smoked almonds.
yeah, smoked, but then the people get creative. We've got like habanero and lime and cockroach flavored and all these different ones. Is like it's every one. I'm like, can we just have the salted ones?
Just
Because
give me
I'm
the
gonna be
almonds.
choking on the other ones.
Okay, Al Michaels is famous for his halftime food, steak and potato, no veggies ever. Legendary Al Michaels. What is your must-have halftime meal?
I work with Troy, who's got the body fat of a hummingbird, and he's always like worried about, I need grilled chicken, and then for a while it was like chicken. No, I don't eat chicken anymore. I want salmon, and I'm just like, will you just give me a cookie, something that I can put in my stomach that's going to kill the hunger pang. But me eating a huge dinner at halftime is
Yeah,
that's
you'd need a
dumb.
nap.
Yeah, then I'm lethargic for the second half. So I'll have something really quick and then kind of go back to work.
All right, so you've done your share of acting. We've seen you in some roles here and there. In fact, when I was watching F is for Family, I had no idea you were the coach of the voice of the coach.
Yeah,
It was,
I had like six different characters in that.
that was one of my favorite series. It was so much fun to watch. So if you were depicted in a movie, if someone were to play Joe Buck, who would that actor be?
Jeff Daniels.
Really cool. Have you
I don't
talked to
know.
him
We
about
kind of
that?
look a little bit like each other. We have floppy, thinning hair.
He kind of has the chin dimple.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I could say like Austin Butler or some like young, good-looking guy, but I would never say that about myself. I've always had the imposter syndrome for everything in my life. So I would Patton Oswalt. There you go. He's not.
I could see that.
Yeah.
You mentioned your daughters, and Natalie, we know, is also in the acting world. I know that she's kind of getting more and more roles. Where is she now? Is she going to be appearing on anything we'll be seeing soon?
That's a great question. She is auditioning constantly. She was in the Ham, Your Friends and Neighbors show opposite a big scene with Olivia Munn. Currently, as you and I talk right now, she's on a vacation with Olivia Munn. Olivia invited her on a girls' trip, which is really cool.
Oh, wow.
That she's friends, and hopefully that not only leads to a very beautiful and loving friendship, but more future work opportunities if Olivia is in a position to help. But yeah, she's just auditioning. Got a call back for a Carolyn Bessette, the
Yeah.
JFK Jr. wife role that she did not get, but she's getting a lot more looks meaning a lot more opportunities to be seen in auditions, but nothing's clicked beyond your friends and
Well,
neighbors
it's a
yet.
lot of hard work. Okay, my last question, my rapid fire. And finally, since you are picking the reigning NFL MVP Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to hoist the Lombardi Trophy and take it all home this year, a very important question for Western New York and Buffalo Bills fans. When you're eating chicken wings, ranch or blue cheese? Answer carefully.
I don't know what's traditional. I don't like ranch dressing. I'm
Blue
sorry.
cheese all the way, baby. That's
Oh,
what you
good.
do in Western New
Yeah,
York.
no, I'm a blue cheese fan in every
Good.
way, shape, or form. Ranch, I had a bad experience. I'm old enough to remember when ranch came out. It was like, oh my God, Hidden Valley has this new dressing. It's called ranch. And I had it
Now
at
it's
school
everywhere.
and I threw up after eating it at school. And I've never had ranch since. It makes me gag.
So now that you've said blue cheese and picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl, you have now endeared yourself to legions of Bills
I
Mafia.
did
That
not
is
know
awesome.
that it was like blue cheese or
Oh yeah,
die.
that's the only way. Like sometimes they have in the stands if they're playing the Chiefs, they'd go, "Patrick Mahomes has ranch on his wings." Basically, it's a dig. You don't do that. You just
Wow.
don't. You just
Yeah,
don't do
no.
that.
No, I'm glad I came down on the right side of that, but I didn't know which one it was.
No,
So,
you're still good in my book, Joe. You're still
okay,
all
good.
good. Well, I'm glad my prediction of your successful career came to fruition all those years ago when I made it in the late 80s. So I'm glad you're making ends meet and doing well for yourself. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
heartening.
it's good. And for you, I'm glad you're a Bill season ticket holder.
Yeah,
Where are your
well,
seats?
they're on the Bills side between the 40 and 50-yard line in the upper 200 section. So,
So does
they
this
still
give
have
you
those.
entree into the new stadium?
Yeah, well, my sister is the season ticket holder, so she did buy PSLs for the next year. So we're gonna see how this goes. So, we're gonna see how this season goes. And
You can
I'm,
get a winter place in Buffalo. Why wouldn't you? It's so pleasant up there.
you know what? I love snow. I grew up in it. I learned how to drive in it. I'm out in it every day when it snows. I will shovel your driveway. I love it so much.
Okay,
Seriously,
I'm gonna
I'm a
hold you
snow
to that.
girl. My husband is not. He hates snow. He likes the warm. He's a Midwest guy all the way. So, but to his credit, he did get his butt out of bed a number of times when there was a lot of snow on the ground to
Well,
get my
he's like a
butt to work.
rugged guy. I mean, he was a rugged. Look at him behind you with he's staring in.
He's, let me
Is
tell you,
that
Joe,
Cleveland? Who's that?
this was for the Cleveland Indians. And when you look at him, he is still at his playing weight and you could still see him. And
He
he
could
still
fit
looks
in
like,
that.
yeah, yeah, he's
Does he
still
still
got
have
it.
a mustache?
No, the mustache is gone. And we still have all the equipment in the basement. But if you look at him, he's still jacked. He still looks like an athlete.
Yeah.
So
He
I,
was always, for me, at that point we talked about 1989. He was like a grizzled veteran and I was somebody's son. And he could not have been nicer. So he's
he's,
been always consistently great to me.
and we're going on 38 years. So there we go. We're going strong, which is
But they
great.
put the over under at 39. So you got one
Okay.
more to go before
Very
the
good.
over wins. Yeah.
Well, Joe, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time today. It's been great. I can't wait to watch you on Monday Night Football, hear that song by Chris Stapleton, and I'm just so jazzed for football season. I can't wait. And I'm just so grateful you took the time. Thank you so
Of
much and have a
course. It's
great
good to
time with your
talk to you.
boys.
I know.
Yeah,
Well, I got
don't
to pick him up from camp here in the next 20 minutes. So wish me luck.
Joe, can I trouble you for one question?
Yes.
One question only, because you guys are two legends, so it was cool to hear you guys. I mean, I look up to you for like what we do here and inspiration for local guys.
Well, thank you.
And speaking of local guys, I just wanted to know, like, if you cross paths with a childhood friend of mine, 10 years player in the NFL from Bonne Terre, Missouri, Will Compton.
Oh,
He's bussing with the boys, host with Taylor
Yeah.
Lewan. Have you guys crossed
Yeah.
paths? That's my
not
question.
really. I mean,
didn't
I
know.
did plenty of his games.
Exactly. You've called for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a great guy. And I'm glad, somebody like him has got something to do like that. But I mean, tell him anytime he needs me, I'm here for him.
That means the world. Thank you very
That's
much.
nice.
He's a good
All
man.
right, Joe, get out the door. You got boys to pick up.
All right, guys.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks so much.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that's going to do it for another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you were able to get a little bit of an insight into Joe Buck's life and what it's like for him, not only here with his family in St. Louis, but on the road with Monday Night Football, Troy Aikman, and ESPN. So good stuff from Joe, and I thank him so much for taking the time. The NFL season is starting here in a week or so. I'm so excited. Of course, the Buffalo Bills are my team. I've got season tickets, so yeah, I'm going to be going back and forth, which is great. And of course, we would love to thank our exclusive presenting sponsor for this particular episode, Riize Energy Strips. It is an amazing new supplement delivery concept where they literally go under your tongue and activate in minutes. So you need to check it out at riseup.com. You see that on TikTok, you see it on Amazon. It's going to be available in Walmart and pretty much everywhere else. So thank you to Dr. Joe Molesky and Riize Energy Strips for sponsoring the exclusive presenting sponsor of this particular More to Say podcast. As usual, we thank you so much for following along. Please tell all your friends. I'm available on social media everywhere. Just check me out on whichever social media platform you want. And of course, like, subscribe, and make sure you catch the More to Say podcast wherever you stream your podcasts. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.
This has been More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Be sure to like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.